Hey everyone, it's Gabrielle, and today we'll be going through the 2024 history exam predictions. And just before we get started, I'd like to give you a heads up that our predictions are educated guesses by expert teachers, so there is nothing that is guaranteed 100% to come up on the day of the exam. So take all of our predictions with a pinch of salt. However, we will also be going through some tips and tricks for studying history, alongside the exam structure that you need to be aware of. That all being said, let's get straight into the video. So, what do you need to know about the history exam structure? So in terms of timing, you'll have 5 minutes max to read through the questions once you have the paper in front of you, and then you should spend 45 minutes on the document-based question, which will leave you 40 minutes for each of the 3 essay questions. So moving on from all that, Leaving Cert history is quite a tricky subject to predict. That being said, here are some things to look out for. Starting off with the document-based question, this year's topic is dictatorship and democracy, and this topic includes Stalin's show trials, the Jarrow March, and the Nuremberg Rallies. That being said, make sure to know Stalin's show trials in particular detail because they didn't come up the last time this was a DBQ option on the paper. And so let's move on to section 2 and section 3. When it comes to section 2 and 3 of the exam, it is really important for you to be able to write comfortably about each topic's case studies. However, don't overly rely on them to get you through the exam. Hi again, it's Gabrielle from the future here. I'd just like to quickly add that for the rest of the video we'll be talking about movements of reform, sovereignty and partition, and the United States and the wider world. However, you should be aware that Irish topics 3 and 5 are very popular choices in the exam. For topic 5, you should pay close attention to Northern Ireland. And with that, let's get back to the video. So let's have a look to see where your focus should be in these sections. So starting off with movements for reform, here are the case studies you should know. And these act as a really good guide for studying this section. This year, be sure to revise Charles Stewart Parnell, as he is always a likely topic. Alongside that, land agitation/reform didn't come up last year, so it is worth going over, and unionism is also worth going through as well. So moving on to sovereignty and partition, here are the case studies you should be aware of. For this section and for history in general, it is really important to take a look at what anniversaries happened this year, particularly 100-year anniversaries. The most significant event from 100 years ago in this section was the Army Mutiny, and so you can expect questions like, how did the Irish government contribute to the consolidation of democracy from 1922 to 1932, or between 1922 and 1932, what steps did the Cosgrave governments take to establish the Irish Free State on firm foundations? The other topics that are worth going over are the treaty negotiations, the Civil War, and Ireland during World War II. So moving on to the last section, which is the United States and the wider world. These are the case studies that can come up. And again, these case studies are a really good guide for studying this topic. A question on Martin Luther King and/or the civil rights movement comes up nearly every year. We also predict to see a question on the Vietnam War, particularly focusing on the presidency of Johnson and/or Nixon. A question on the end of the Cold War could also come up as topics such as the SALT agreements or Reagan's Star Wars. Both of those haven't come up on the paper in a while, and they could be part of a larger question that asks you to discuss 1 or 2 of these topics. And so finally, here are some general tips and tricks for the exam. When you're practicing your essay writing, always be sure to time yourself to make sure you're writing everything in less than 40 minutes, 42 minutes max. And secondly, the best essay answers will always be the ones with quotes and statistics. You can use your textbook or reliable sources on the internet to gather facts and figures and try memorize them, or you could also use the notes, the quizzes on the Studyclix website to find new pieces of information that you can include in your essays. And going through the quizzes will make everything much easier to remember. So thirdly, make sure that you have clearly defined paragraphs in your answers, as this will make your points clearer for the examiner. If you are struggling with formatting your work, or if you're not so sure about what you can write, then absolutely be sure to check out the sample answers on Studyclix. Some of them have been annotated by expert teachers, which show you exactly what you should write in the exam and what you should avoid doing. From the Studyclix sample answers, you can also get loads of inspiration for what you can write in your own essays. And lastly, be sure to label everything clearly, and if it helps you to stay on focus, you can even write the question right above your essay to make sure that you're not going off track. Leave a like on this video if it helped you, and be sure to subscribe for more videos like this. Also, comment down below what subject we should predict next. I hope this helps, and best of luck with the study.